Hello, listeners. This is Wide Spectrum, a podcast where we talk about musics. What the All right, one more time. Hello, listeners. This is Wide Spectrum, a podcast where we talk about music, science, movies, and everything in the middle. So, I'm one of your hosts, Sandeep Sharma, aka Chivalry. With me
is Christian Love, aka That Chrissy Boy,
and
Sean Bingham,
aka
Old Bastard.
Good Old Bastard is here with us again. Let's talk about the last podcast. So, what do you guys think? I'll start with you, Christian. So, how do you like the idea of a podcast, the execution of it? How was it?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, obviously we've had better conversations. I think we were too much in beta mode that we were trying to figure out. Well, one of the things is we're not used to trying to keep our conversation structured. And so that's the thing that we need to focus on.
Sure.
All right, let's stay on the topic of music, because honestly, we only got like 5, maybe 10 minutes of music topic in there.
Mm-hmm. Everything else was just fluff.
And that was supposed to be like the majority of the podcast. So, hopefully this one will be better.
Sure. And how do you feel about the last podcast, Sean? I know you shared it with a couple of people, and any good feedbacks?
Yeah, the feedback that I got was all three of our personalities meshed well, and it was funny. A lot of smiles, a lot of good times.
See, that's what we want to do. We want to spread the smiles. So
I want people to smile.
I want people to cry. I want people to smile.
Well, I want them to cry from
the sheer beauty.
The sheer beauty that we represent in this podcast.
I want to get inside their head, be like, wow, that's the most beautiful thing I ever heard.
Not only their head, but their heart.
Oh, man.
Just touch their heart and their soul. In general, do you like people? When someone asks you that question, because the reason why I ask it is I feel like I hear a lot. Man, I just hate people. I never hear anyone say, I love people. And, while I understand that, I tend to be on the opposite side of the spectrum of the people who would say, I hate people. Like, I understand that. I feel like I probably I'm sure I've said that before in my younger days, but...
As if it's really old. The youngest one in the group.
Hey,
well, when you're 14, you're like, I hate people.
Hey, my mommy said I have an old soul, okay?
Wow.
Yeah, so I trust her judgment.
Old soul. Is he the old soul and you're the old bastard?
Yeah.
Okay, this is going off topic, but yeah, I mean... It's a hard one, isn't it? That particular conversation, because you're going to be dividing people regardless of what you say.
It may be the time of day, or even what's going on in your life then.
That's a very good point.
Like, you could just be having the world's worst day, and man, I hate people.
Yeah.
And then everything goes just swimmingly well, and then the next day I love everything that's going on right now.
But then do you usually... and then I guess I'll raise a question to that is, when you say you hate people, I'm sure even with the worst day that you're having, you probably have someone that you sort of go to talk about it, like, your friends. So it's not people, it's not people in general that you hate.
Well, it's people, because usually when you say that, you're saying it to somebody, and you'd be really offensive if that person you hated.
Exactly.
So you don't hate everyone, maybe everybody at Walmart, but maybe not whoever you're talking to.
Hey, those Walmart people, they're working hard, man. I always do that. Like, if I'm hanging out with someone, I always feel like I have to lay down all my cards, because it's like, this is who I am. I'm super open about everything. And if any of this bothers you, we need to stop hanging out right now, because this is what I'm going to be. And no one ever Well, no one ever's.
It's good that you said that. There's a door. I think we need to stop hanging out.
Well, this has been fun, guys. You know,
well, your original question, which was, you know, when you think of people, do you think of, right, I hate them or do I love them? And for me, I think it's more of the tribalism thought. It's kind of the us or them mentality. I mean, how often are you with people that you like and you hang around and you go, I hate you? Why would you hang around them, right?
That's true.
So most of the time when I have a negative thought like that, it's usually something that happens in the news, like this recent attack in New Zealand that occurred, and that just makes you stop and go, man, people suck. But it's not everyone, right? It's usually the people that you think of as them, right? Whoever does this atrocity, whoever does something that I don't like, but not somebody that you currently like, you know, your family, your friends. So I think a lot of times we get stuck in that tribalism thought, that process of thinking about us versus them.
Yeah. And for me, I think, see, those kind of people, the one that you talked about, Sean, is abhor the right word? Like, you know, truly hate. But when you talk about people,
to take someone's life.
Yeah, when you're talking about people around you or that kind of are, you know, you interact with day to day, it's more of a dislike. I wouldn't say it's hate.
Yeah,
like that. It's not that strong because for me, it comes down to someone who is more egotistical. That's usually the person that I dislike the most of. Their idea of, they are better than everybody else, and that comes down to the point of, if someone talks down to you, that kind of stuff. So I think I dislike people more than I hate, but I think I hate people that are just, I guess, generally evil. But everybody else, I just dislike that person. I'm not going to hang out with them, just like you said. I'm just going to hang out with the people that I actually like.
I like the bumper sticker that says "mean people suck."
I love that. I think I need that for my car.
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Yeah, what's up?
So, was there a part in your life that you basically I think you changed quite a bit in the last few years, right? The outlook on life in general.
Yeah, there is a certain point.
So where's this angst there at some point in time where you
there was a moment where I didn't only hate everyone, I hated myself. Like there was a dark moment in my life, and that was mainly through high school, but yeah, I think, but when I look back at that dark moment as a part of why I am where I am today. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have these connections to people who have a darker mindset, who have these more, negative outlooks.
Are you referring to me?
Yes, John, yes.
With his dark shade, so...
No, but like, there's a good TED Talk I listened to that I connected with deeply. I don't know if you heard it. It's the guy who said I was almost a school shooter.
Oh, no.
That's dark.
That's yeah. So when I watched that,
they might watch that, but we're gonna lose listeners.
Well, so pretty much it's this guy who talks about his whole life he's been kicked down by not only the people in his school but his own family. So he pretty much had no self-worth. Blah blah blah, and he goes and he talks about there's a point in his life where he literally was in his head talking about shooting up his school, and then there was this one moment where this one guy, he saw him sad or depressed, went up to him and said, "Hey, talk to me," and that right there gave that guy a little glimmer of light that said, like someone's actually acknowledging me as a human being, where I used to not get these things, so on and so forth. And then that brought him out of that negative mind space, because someone out there, even though there's this kid who probably seems like, let's say a gothic or he seems like he's a school shooter or something, people always resist that. They're like, push that kid in the corner. Let's get away from him as far as possible. There's this one guy who's willing to speak to him and showed him that glimmer of light that brought him out of that darkness. And I think that was done to me in a way. Now, I never actually thought of shooting up a school, so I don't have that much of a. I never went that far deep.
We cleared that one.
But
I was on the very edge of the couch here.
Yes.
no, I never.
Sean was in the running position.
Yeah, the furthest I would go is probably. Now, I don't even think I had serious thoughts of killing myself, but like, I'm pretty sure everyone's kind of had those thoughts. And
Yeah, everybody. It's just like
Everybody's thought of killing.
It's
Yeah.
almost the smallest thing, It's like, if my computer doesn't work, God, I want to just jump off this building.
But I had a moment where I felt like I was worthless, and I felt like no one liked me, and I was literally like nothing. I was just like a piece of dirt. And it's just, I think there's a way how you communicate with someone that, disarms them from their egoism or something of that sort. So because when I talk to someone, one, I don't have any desires of classifications or like, if you're smarter than me, I don't give a shit, like, so I feel like when I show my representation, people just go, oh, it doesn't, why should I show off to this guy? He doesn't give a shit. I'll just kind of hang out with him and chill instead. So I don't have a lot of those people being douchey to me, whereas those same people, I have seen them being douches to others. And I'm not saying, since I could get them to be not douches, you should be able to not get them out of No, those people should not be douches, but I'm just saying, if you want to alleviate the situation, there's always a way.
Anti-douche mode.
And then
There's always a way for someone.
but you also have to. It comes back to Sean's point. What time what place you're at, that these people interacting with you actually makes a huge difference. Because maybe when you interact with them, they're in a different situation, and they might be completely nice, like maybe out of work.
Yeah.
But then when you're at a situation where they feel like you are intellectual or competitive threat to them, that's when they turn on that fight or flight, and then they usually fight. That's what the reaction they have is, very defensive of everything.
The last thing I just wanted to say though was, even today, I'm not perfect. I still, like you said, I get my emotional days where I let the emotions take the best of me. But the thing in my brain, I have this like weird twitch when I notice I'm being emotional, but I'm letting it take an advantage of me. And that thing bothers me. And so I get, it's funny because I get in my own head and being like, why am I being a little fucking pussy right now? Like, why can't I continue my, like keep the vibe chill, or, why am I not being mellow like how I always strive to be? Why is it today? And usually I come up with the
Chemical imbalances.
Probably didn't have enough sleep, or I missed out on.
You can always excuse, like
on a yoga session I missed. Yeah, I will never know the actual answer, but.
So Sean, you haven't said much on this one because Mr.
I'm sorry.
I'm just messing, man.
I did talk a lot. That was apologies.
I can tell that this is a topic that Christian's been thinking a lot about.
Yes,
and he really needed to get this out, and I was listening. I mean, I'm learning myself. I mean, I'm cynical myself, being the old bastard, and I don't know that I think much about it, other than whenever I run into scenarios which I read in the newspaper or online nowadays, or on in the news, where I think of, people being douchebags, and I think, man, that's a bunch of douchebags. And then I move on to something else, right? And I'm sure there's been plenty of times when people have seen me and went, that douchebag, right?
So it goes both ways.
Sure.
You are also someone else's
I have
douchebag.
absolutely been a douchebag, and probably more often than not in my life. And I know a lot of people that do know me are probably shaking their heads right now going, yeah, that guy's an asshole.
Yeah, the 27 listeners that we have, of which 4 are yours.
Yeah, and probably all 4 of them are thinking that right now. No, that's pretty much it. I mean, I try not to dwell on it.
I think you, of all 3 of us, you are the one that actually ponders this quite a bit. Because again, with him, I'm good with him. It's sort of, just goes in the back burner. But then I think, I'm not saying it doesn't affect me. I'm just saying that I try not to dwell on how to fix that. And that's my flaw in that sense, is I need to find a way to at least address it, but I try to right now ignore it. Well, ignorance is bliss, basically.
And the thing is too is if one of the things that bothers me is when, let's say, someone is having a problem with, a certain communication where someone's being mean or something, and they just don't do anything about it, but they continue to complain about it over and over again, but they don't do anything about it. That frustrates me. Now, you're saying you don't care enough to as long as you're not being a hypocrite, I don't care. Like being people who are hypocrites and they're not aware that they are. That's one of my frustrations.
The ones you're like, I didn't do anything wrong, and then they keep doing wrong things.
Yeah, it's like you just said this and you acted against it. What's wrong with you? Yeah. But anyway, and we could end the subject soon. But the last thought that I had was one of the things that made me want to ask this too is I feel like people who have a predetermined thought of I hate people or I love people, regardless of what their answer is, that also influences how they interact with people. And so, if there's that cynical outlook on people, most of the time interactions are going to start very hostile. Whereas, if you have a very open heart to people, interactions are going to start very open or something, and then, and so I think the outlook, at least to me, when I look at myself, I think it definitely does influence a huge part in how you just communicate with people in general.
Well, let me ask you this. I've heard a lot of people say, I like animals more than people. I mean, in my thinking, the reason why people say that is that you give animals a lot more slack, right? People should know when they're being a douchebag, right? Animals, they're just doing what they do. Yeah. But what if we start thinking about people like that? People are just doing what they do, and some people are douchebags.
But then you can also say that we hit or we just smack the animal in the nose when it's doing something wrong. If you do that with people, to let them know.
Right. Well, I mean, it's socially unacceptable to smack someone in the head. And you really don't do that to an animal either, do you?
No, just like a flick the nose.
Well, that's awful.
What are you talking about? Everybody does that.
No, we don't.
I never hit my my dog when I had her in India, but I think people just smack their little nose that go. Yeah, maybe that's a cat. I'm thinking of a cat. Not an actual dog. But you do.
You are an abusive animal owner.
No. I've owned one dog. Two dogs, actually.
I'm laughing because I'm giving you shit.
I know.
But I mean, I get your point.
You scream at them. It's like, stop doing that, and you can't do that with a person.
Well, because you should. Okay, so you shouldn't do it to an animal either, and that's the thing. We try to give people more credit, right? We try to say, all right. You're automatically making an excuse for the person.
Sure.
Whereas an animal, you just go, right? You're talking about I'm just going to stop that behavior. But with a human, you have to sit here and think for a minute. Well, if I do this, I'm going to get in trouble. They're going to smack me back. Or you may go down the road of thinking, well, why is that person acting like this? Is it something that I did? Where you don't typically do that, like, why is that dog barking? Is it something that I did? Right? You don't do that. But we should. We should treat animals that same way.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Why is he barking at me? Do I look funny? Is it because I'm not wearing pants?
Yes, that would do it.
Why is he barking? It's like, put that away. Put that away.
It's my hat that I'm wearing, and I'm not wearing it on my head.
And I do want to be clear.
One of the heads.
I do want to be clear with this too. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for people to be douches. Honestly, I think I'm gonna be more disappointed in someone who's being a douche than not. But there's always a way to communicate with someone.
Sure.
And it's almost kind of like sacrificing your own ego for the benefit of another's. and for them to understand, like, they kind of get in their own head when you're just kind of playing this, you're not even playing a game, where they just get in their own head and they're like, oh wait, this guy's just, I don't know.
What movie was that where Jim Carrey couldn't lie? Was it Jim Carrey?
Oh, yeah.
Liar, liar.
Liar.
Yeah. So what if we were not able to lie, where everybody had to tell the truth?
That's the thing.
all the time.
And yeah, that would be an interesting.
It would.
I'm
you'd get in a lot of fights. Would
Yes.
be my guess.
Well, I mean, I guess it just depends on who you are, because, you know, I don't see myself as someone who lies. I feel like I've been as upfront and honest as I possibly
Well, if you're
can.
not Indian, lie a lot.
But the thing is, too, is like, well, but I mean,
White lies, not actual lies that people get people into
That's
trouble.
racist.
But I was gonna say is like,
brown lies.
I think a lot of people too go in.
That's not better.
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think a lot of people too go into lies very, like, even when they're approaching their own lies and trying to reveal it, or I don't know. My whole thing is I don't see why anyone should have to lie, unless if you killed someone or like did something that is honestly like punishable, right?
But then,
But like, everyone's a human, so if you could be able to explain your situations where something you did was embarrassing and be like, hey, my head was like this at this point in the day where I did something stupid like this and I feel awful about it. I feel like people are more open to accept that than for you not telling them and they were to find out a different way. And if they see how open you are about yourself like that, they're like, you know what, this guy, like, I feel like I trust him because he's so open about himself, you know?
and then you stab him in the back.
Yes.
Once you trust him.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
I see
so
where you're
get
going.
that trust and then stab him in the back.
Well, we're cutting that out from the podcast.
But yeah, I mean,
But again, don't we lie as people every day? The way we act around certain circumstances.
Not me. No.
That's true. I mean, you are. You know, you are loose cannon when it comes to actually saying anything you want.
maybe withhold information. Like, I probably won't say something, but I don't see that as lying.
Sure.
You know? It's like, you know, your guys' band session was shit. No, I'm just kidding. No, I actually enjoyed it.
That's how he stabs it in the back.
No,
right there.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
The section that I want to bring up with all this stuff is pet peeves that people do that you don't, you really don't like. For me, I mean, I might start, I guess. The biggest problem with me and people is, I mean, there's a lot, and I think we should have a regular section of this, of, what you not like about, you don't hate, I'm not saying you hate that person or, those group of people, just as something that really annoys me. And one of them is the fake relationships on social media that there's the idea of a perfect couple that people portray on social media. There's one, I don't know the person, but there's two very young couple that have like millions of followers that, post really like beautiful, like, sunset in the background,
Are you talking about me?
No, I said sunset, not dark pit of hell. So it's sunset in the background. You can actually hear the waves. It's a picture, but you can hear the waves, birds singing, and that perfect, God made this pair in heaven and we are blessed to be with each other. But then I realized that outside of that picture, I bet they absolutely hate each other. That's a thing. So what is this idea of that's a lie. That's another thing. That's a lie that you sort of know it's a lie because nobody's that perfect. And then that's one of I have a lot of pet peeves, but that's one of the major ones that I see a lot happening these days.
I think this comes to this is a bigger point here, is a lot of people feel that they need to share a lot of their personal lives.
A little too much sometimes.
Too much via social media. I mean, I guess sharing some stuff is. I mean, we're doing a podcast, right? I mean, we're sharing stuff here, but I I think a lot of times we'll see people and they'll share these things, whether it's, hey, this is what I got for my birthday, or the most disgusting thing I think ever is, this is what I'm eating tonight. Here's a plate of mashed potatoes and gravy. Aren't you jealous? Everybody is eating mashed potatoes and gravy, especially on Thanksgiving. Please stop showing this.
I eat chicken curry on Thanksgiving, okay? I have my own Thanksgiving tradition, so... It's like I'm here kind of being hypocritical, saying that why do people put their personal lives out there while we talking about our personal lives in here? But I can add to that fact is I'm not making it more than what it is.
Wait, we're talking about our personal? I thought we were just making shit up. I've been making shit up this whole time.
My name is not
everybody. This isn't me. Stop this.
But that's the point. I mean, it's you're still putting your. But the thing is, we're not making it sound like we are better than everybody. We are. Actually, what this podcast is doing is the few people that like us are like, I hate this guy. That's what we're doing. We're actually making ourselves look worse than what we are, and that's the opposite of Instagram.
But I feel like
celebrities.
Everything that we've mentioned about ourselves was to give some sort of grounding of understanding of what we're
of who we are and what
of what we're leading up to in some certain way. It's not like, oh, hey, earlier today, me and Sandeep had Chipotle. It was so good.
It was all right.
Like, no one gives a shit about that.
Nobody gives a shit, yeah. And that's what it comes down to. So I thought that was so that was my pet peeve.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean? Anything that kind of bothers you in day to day? Or, I mean, I know you don't think about it. You want to just kind of distract yourself from it, but I'm sure something just grinds your gears.
Yeah, I'm sure there are things. I mean, there are a lot of things. Mostly they're small. Again, I'm usually so busy, doing stuff that I really don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, because if I did, it'd probably drive me crazy.
It will, yeah.
Yeah.
But is that something that you have consciously tried to do over the years, of not think about it, or is it something that your personality always been like, you don't give a shit what people think or what people are, or I just don't want to think about it? Because for me, it's very hard. I think it sort of stays with me just because of personality.
It does stay with me. But again, I try to. It's like every time that I talk to you, you're always doing something, right? You're doing a podcast. You're working on. You want to be an actor. You want to be a rapper.
Music.
There's all kinds of things that you want to do. If you spent as much time worried about other people's pet, what they do that bugs you, you wouldn't get anywhere in your life. Those things cross my mind all the time, right? I mean, somebody pulls out in front of me, they don't use their blinker signal, things like that. Of course, I mean, they bug a lot of people, right?
Don't even get me started about driving.
And I try my best not to think about it.
Okay. You, Christian, anything then?
I actually got to be honest, when people don't use their blinkers, even though it's like an irrational like irritation, it's just like, whatever. I said there is a part of me. It's like, I would have used my blinker if I was getting in front of you.
I'm better than you. That's when you're like, I hate people, and then I just hate that one
person. Didn't use your blinker. Oh, I hope that guy gets in a crash.
I mean, don't get me wrong. My son and I, we can go off on politics or religion or anything, and just we could spend an hour talking about it. But when that's all said and done, I got to move on.
Sure.
Go do something else. And, I'm not going to just, I'm going to write a book about how much I hate this shit.
Yeah.
Because
that would be a good book.
It would be a big book, and it would be a huge part of my time that I don't want to waste on something that bothers me.
And you know what the most...
It's like, what is that helping?
You know what the most paradoxical point of that is? When you write something that is... I'm going to write a book about what things I hate. I bet majority of the people agree with you. So it's like, who are these people that are fucking shit up?
It's them. It's like, always them, right?
So it's like,
us versus them.
Exactly. You agree to the points that you're making, but I'm sure all of us have been in a situation where we are the one somebody calls an asshole because we pulled in front or this and
Absolutely.
that. So that's it's like a circle. It just keeps going.
I think, and to the second answer that I have is, and I already mentioned this before, but when I notice people are hypocritical, that really does get under my skin, because it shows me that people aren't really conscientious of themselves, if they're willing to say that they're one thing but they completely do the other. And it's like you need to backtrack a little bit, because you're not what you say you are. And so it's just a frustrating thing to deal with, because you can't just blatantly say, hey, this thing that you think you are, you're not. Then they're going to be like, oh, you're a asshole. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, you kind of have to like dance around these people a bit more, because it's, because I genuinely think they don't know they're hypocritical. I think they tell themselves that they're something and they just act a different way. But you can't tell them how they're acting, because it's, like any human, they get they get defensive, and they're like, yeah.
It's the same thing. And, anytime that you're seeing something that you don't like in someone else, 9 times out of 10 you've done the same thing.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just like I'm hoping right now that Sandeep won't make another crack about my sunglasses.
But I will.
But he will.
Yeah.
But here I am, still wearing them.
Yeah. All right, listeners, so now moving on to our next section that we call Christian's Corner. So here's where Christian will tell us something interesting that he found out that week, a movie he has seen, or a music, or some sort of band that he has discovered. And this is where Christian will just talk about shit that he likes. So Christian, take it away.
So this is actually something that a movie that I watched this morning, and a very, very close and dear friend of mine, I keep very close and personal to my pocket, came with me to watch this. It was very humbling experience to experience such an amazing movie with such a fellow, whose name is Moon Shallow,
aka Chivalry.
And
Chivalry was just absolutely appalled by the entire movie and wanted to off himself right there.
He was, but this is Christian's Corner, so we don't give a shit
about what Chivalry thinks.
Well, yes, we don't give we don't care about your opinions on Christian's Corner. No, honestly, you could have some input.
So set the scene for us. Where did you guys watch? First of all, what was the movie about? Just set it up. Set it up for us.
So here, I'll set the scene. So, this movie is probably the most excited I've been wanting to see a movie in a theater in the longest time, because most of the movies I want to see don't reach theaters,
or they're long gone, like Transformers.
I wish I could relive the 2008 or 2009
re-release Transformers.
Yeah, hopefully they have a remaster for that. But it's rare for me to get a movie that I really want to see in theaters. And Gaspar Noe, who filmed this movie that we watched called Climax, he's probably my most. He's definitely inspired me the most in terms of what I want to do in terms of filmmaking. How he films his movies is entirely unique to him and in his vision. And it opened my eyes, his whole filmography opened my eyes to what it is, like how you could show an audience a lens, such a personal lens, an individual lens that doesn't feel like someone else's movie experience, or movie, how they shoot things, or so on and so forth. And so I became an instant fan of his. And so he came out with Climax, and this movie, and so more background on Gaspar Noe is he's not afraid to portray violence, sex, and everything in between, in such a raw way, in a realistic way. And it's nothing, and it never feels perverted. It feels natural.
How did you feel, Sandeep?
Perverted.
At least in my opinion, it doesn't feel perverted. So anyway, going on to Climax. This is his, I think, 5th feature-length film, and he wanted to create an experience where it felt like you start this vibe that feels heavenly. You feel like you start in heaven, and the film gradually and slowly descends into hell, and just the chaotic and grueling feeling of what
You're
hell.
talking about my Mondays, aren't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this movie is pretty much an allegory of your Mondays. But
That's how I got the idea.
but and so he and part of the plot too is so there's these people who get hired to be a part of this. Do they say what exactly? Like this
No,
dance?
it was just a dance competition that goes around Europe and
Yeah,
United States.
so these people got entered into this dance competition thing, and they're all having like their party to celebrate, and they're all how the film starts is them celebrating, having a good time. They're all super happy that they are a part of this thing. And they're drinking out of this punch, which they all think is only alcohol. Sangria, which it's not just that. There's actually...
Are we gonna like say this is spoilers or anybody hadn't seen
Well,
the
this
film?
isn't a trailer, but I'll just say spoilers anyway, just in case I do mistakenly spoil anything. But spoiler alert, if even if you haven't seen the trailer, maybe you want to just go in there blind. It's honestly, to me, it was an amazing experience. But anyway, so the punch was laced with LSD. We don't know who, we don't know why. It's just laced with LSD. None of them know. And after, like pretty much halfway through the movie, the LSD starts to kick in and things just descend into madness. And it does it in such a patient and everything I feel like connects to that madness. There's nothing where it felt like a light switch where you're just like everything's happy, all of a sudden chaos. No, I feel like you're really going down that ladder slowly into this very chaotic nature of where it gets to. And
this is definitely my Monday, by the way.
Just slowly
slowly
moving into chaos.
Pretty good.
With a cup of coffee.
No, actually, when I was asleep dreaming, it was really good, and then it slowly descended into chaos as I woke up. Tripped over the dog. So
it's a Monday.
Poor dog.
But so the movie to me was there's so many layers to it, because one of the layers is how it was shot, and just through the filmmaking, what it really represented. Through the style of the filmmaking, like the chaotic nature. Because at first you get this very lush camera movement that floats very happily around these people who are dancing. And then once it gets darker and darker, the camera work just gets more anxious, and it likes to erratically move a bit more. And this is a spoiler alert again. At the very end, you actually have a very upside down look of everything. Like you have this very like everything's upside down and it's red and everything just looks chaotic. But it doesn't seem unnecessary.
Sure.
Like it really works visually with what he was trying to grasp. And that's just the camera aspect. I love also the thematic of, and he inserts a little quote where he says, humans, what was it? It was, humans, it is impossible for humans. Oh yeah. Human collectivity is impossible. Something I'm paraphrasing it now, but like he really, because with the plot device he decided to use with acid and everything, he really, where these people seemed friendly with each other, they seemed like they're friends, he really devolves each of these characters into their single mindsets, and they just get stuck in their own mind and their own chaos. And it just shows how disconnected these people actually are. Like they don't really, a lot of them don't really give a shit about each other like they might have shown before. And so I felt like he really, like, it was kind of like an unveiling of that facade people give each other of like, this is who I am. And he just was like, you know what? I'm going to create a situation where people can't hide who they are, and we'll see how that goes. And I felt like it really gave this, and it's a really grueling experience. There's moments where you're gonna feel like, oh my gosh, like please get me out of this like terrifying situation.
I think one
Monday.
I think one person walked out actually.
Yeah, one person
towards
did
the end of it.
You know what? And
So this is, I'm hearing this is social commentary.
yeah, in a way, yeah. It's definitely social commentary. It definitely has that unveiling of the natural self. And so it's really people interacting in such a naked way. Not like literally naked, but like naked to like how they present themselves.
And sometimes literally naked too.
There's moments of literal nakedness if any of you ladies or gents are interested in that.
So it sounds like they strip away all of the pretenses that people go into these social situations with. And what you're left with is really who you are, which is what you're having to face. That's what I hear.
Yeah, I think he does a great job. And honestly, it's so interesting because a lot of people will go into this movie being like, it's such a dark movie. And it is a dark movie. Yeah, it's a dark movie. I guess how but I feel like there's still like...
There was no hope.
There's no hope, but it really like looks at like a raw... It gives you a raw look of humanity in a way. And obviously it's a dark look, but there's something, I feel like when there's an honest look, there's now outside the movie, I guess there's, I don't know. I'm trying to find it's a dark movie. The first shot, the first long take.
It was so beautiful.
That is just worth watching on its own.
Yeah,
like that first long take is like, it's so polar. I honestly felt like shaking with excitement, and I had to contain myself. I was like shaking one of my legs. I was like, this is so, like how this is shot is just amazing, and I was so excited. And that first shot is just so brilliant, and it just really shows you an example of how much of a great eye he has for filmmaking, like how he's able to portray something so delicately like that, and that stuff just gets to me.
So that's the end of Christian's Corner. Doo-doo-doo.
Old bastard time. Come on over here.
What do we have for us today, Sean?
So I've been thinking long and hard about what I would do for this section, and seeing as how a lot of what we've been talking about today has been social commentary. It's been about interactions, how we feel about others, how others feel about us. I was going to talk about one of my experiments that I did a long time ago, but instead I thought I'd take it a lot more basic. So we're going to go back even farther than the B-team baseball.
Oh boy.
That's right. We're taking it way back.
Way back in time.
Yeah, this is, I guess I'm maybe four years old, maybe 3 years old, long way back. So let me set the scene for you. Back in the day, my family had a little moon globe. It was a globe of the moon. It had all the craters on it, right? The wonderful thing that I think about kids, and this is something that I hear a lot, people talk about, there are two kinds of people that are going to tell you the truth. Drunk people and kids, right?
True.
Drunk people because they don't give a shit anymore.
No inhibitions.
Right? Yeah. No inhibitions. Kids, they don't know they need to lie to you about it. They're just being who they are, right? I mean, they look at you and go, you're a dick, right? Because you're being one and they're telling it like it is. So keep this in mind, setting the story here. I'm a kid. I see this moon globe and I'm thinking, this is the moon. This is literally the moon in front of me. And so I thought, I have to put this moon back where it came from. How else can everybody else enjoy this? This moon is sad. It's been dislocated. It's been taken away from its celestial family. It's got to go back. So I took it outside and I did what any kid would do.
Built a rocket?
I threw it up in the air.
Okay.
I threw it up in the air. I did.
Oh no, don't tell me.
And I'm like, go home, moon. Be with your celestial family. And of course, it fell straight back down and hit the concrete and put a big dent in it because it was a metal globe.
Ooh.
And it was about that time that my family came out. What are you doing? I was like, I was sending the moon home.
How heavy was this moon?
Oh, it was light. It's a hollow sphere.
Okay, but it was still metal.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was metal. So that just goes to show you how literal kids will think of things.
That's
right?
true.
Very, very literally. This is the moon. It's not a representation. This is the moon.
That's such a beautiful, innocent moment.
And stupid, right?
It's very dumb,
right?
but
it's very stupid.
But it's very understandable at your age. Like, I could be like, all right, I get it. You know, if I were to see it, if I saw you, if you're 3 or 4, I would be all right, I get it, whatever. But I'll be oh, he's a little kid.
Yeah.
You know, I think, I mean, think of it. If you saw that in a movie and someone's like, I want to bring the moon back, they have that little glimmering music in the background of hopefulness.
With the violin like I played last time.
And then he's jawing along with that moon and he's like, all right. And then you throw it up and then it comes down. It's like, brown.
And that's reality.
And that's the start of my dystopian world.
Yep, is that
this is where it all began.
Everything is a lie.
Everything is a lie. This is not real. Oh,
that's not the real mood. You lied to
What else is not real? Is this my real family? I don't know.
Am I real?
Wow.
Just go in there, it's like, are you my dad? Just start questioning everything.
Well, what was that book? That children's book? I think it was like a little duck or something. It was like,
I think it was called Clockwork Orange.
No.
Yeah, you're right. I remember that.
I don't think this is the same book I read as a child.
Pink?
No.
Okay.
No.
A clock. I'm just gonna keep saying
No. It has nothing to do with the clock.
Okay.
I think it's about this duck, or I don't know what it was. Maybe it was in my mind, it was a little duckling, and it's going around and it's asking everything, "Are you my mom?" So it at one point it comes upon this big steam shovel, and the steam shovel's like picking dirt up, and it's like, "Are you my mom?" And of course, the steam shovel like almost grabs it and that sort of thing. So it's kind of like that.
So, to end this podcast, I'm introducing a new section, which is called, I guess, Sandeep's Corner, or What the Crap Did I Just Hear? And in this section, I usually bring up, interesting factoids or news that I read, or just something that bothers me, or it's basically just me telling you what I felt or read that week. This week's news, actually, it's not a recent news. It came out last year in December. And it's a headline of a headline. Egypt to crack down on, in quotes, pyramid porn, end quote, after viral sex photo sparks outrage. So I'll give you a little background. So Egypt authorities back in 2018 had vowed to crack down this whole pyramid sex thing, where a tourist apparently posted picture of himself having sex atop the pyramid.
I just have to ask, how ubiquitous is this? I mean, how often does this happen?
It's the first time, actually. So a Danish photographer named Andreas Hvid, HVID, I don't know how to pronounce that, as Danish people in the audience, which are 0, might tell us. But so yeah, he was widely condemned for uploading a video of him climbing. So basically they climbed that 4,500-year-old structure, which is 455 feet, fact, Great Pyramid of Giza, and basically the video showed of an unmanned woman smoking, unnamed, not unmanned, it's not a f***ing drone. Well, she was manned. Smoking and then taking her top off and revealing her breasts. And then it turned into, sexy time on top of the pyramid. And that basically was the end of it. And they showed this pictures or, shared these videos and pictures online. And
what happened to them?
I I don't know. After that, I haven't, it will be next time that we find out what happened to them. But this is a story I heard last year, and because it's very hard to nowadays differentiate between fake news and real news, and this almost seemed like fake, but actually it was on Times of like New York Times and stuff like that.
This isn't The Onion.
So did they videotape this, or was this just a photo?
Both videotape and photos. I think it was a video too, but I think they might have taken the videos and then screenshotted the part where they're having sex on top of the pyramid, and then just shared it with I guess it was some sort of rebellion against something that he was doing. I have no idea. But imagine that conversation is like, Jennifer, we've been dating for a few months now, and I think we should take this to the next level. I want to show you that I want to take you to the place where I will really show you that our relationship is rock solid.
Oh.
Maybe he knows she has her kinks, and he's like, this is really going to get her going.
But then how do you come up with that kink? It's like, they win every game of, where have you done it? On top of the pyramid. Okay. let's go back a little second. We're talking about just normal, but you're not breaking rules. Where have you done it?
Well, I don't know how much space is actually on the pyramid when you get to the top of it, but I can't imagine that it's very comfortable. It's probably windy up there, and it's, let's face it, they're on rocks, right?
It's not comfortable.
How do you know?
And with the picture, because I was poor and I slept on rock when I was in India. Do we have to go back to this?
No.
Yes.
No.
So let's go dig deep into.
I don't know why these people did this. They were clearly rebelling against some kind of societal norm, where I'm guessing that not only is sex in public a vilified thing, but on top of something that I guess that's considered as sacred as the pyramid. So the strong statement being made. I don't know why they would do this, but clearly they had a reason. So hey, more power to them.
I find it kind of funny, I find it kind of sad. Dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had. I find it hard to tell you, I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Enlarge your world. Mad